So after who knows how long, really since we got New Year SHEFFY, we finally have a new version for SHEFFY. Because of course SHEFFY was like dead or something in the story, that's why we didn't get any new versions since then. I don't really know how far behind or how long ago New Year SHEFFY was. It was probably like 2 years ago. That's a really long time to be honest. But yes, finally New Year SHEFFY, which is of course Princess SHEFFY. She looks beautiful, she looks very, very cute. And my favorite part about this outfit is the front part of the skirt, for some reason being see-through. You can't really see it very well over here, but during her transformation animation, it's very, very clearly there. And I immediately remembered Nero from Fate Extra, because she also has a similar design where her skirt at the front is transparent and you can just straight up see her panties. I don't know why they did that. I guess people just like it, really. Just a little bit of a fan service, and they decided to do the same thing here with Princess SHEFFY, which is an odd design choice. Funnily enough, that part of the skirt is not really that transparent if you're just talking to her during like a cutscene or something. So they kind of centered that in those situations, which is interesting. But in any case, very, very cute outfit. I like the bow, not really a bow, but the accessory on her head looks very, very cute with the flowers. She also has some really nice wings, and she is of course dual wielding. You can't really see this over here, but she does use 2 swords, which look very, very cool. She has a bunch of swords really around her. But in any case, without further ado, let's actually see how good she is. She isn't really a too easy, or I mean too hard of a character to understand. So this video might not be that, well, I should stop saying that because it always ends up being a pretty long video. But in any case, let's go over her skill set really quick now, shall we? So going over her special skill first, because, well, I should actually mention this before going over her other skills, because they do have a specific detail regarding the special skill, so let's go over it very, very briefly. So basically, her special skill gives her a permanent TP fill rate of 30, or an increase of her TP fill rate of 30, which is kind of ridiculous. She already has kind of a high TP fill rate at 35, so together with this, she gets a TP fill rate of 65. She gets a lot of TP every time she gets TP because she has such a high TP fill rate. It's kind of ridiculous. And you will see that in a little bit because one of her skills does give her some TP, and because of this it ends up being a ridiculous amount. But in any case, yes, very, very high TP fill rate just from the start. And also, of course, she deploys an environmental effect. These are very, very rare, as you guys might know. We have like one on Lyrael and one on, what is it, Nefinera. And I don't think there's any other character with an environmental effect, besides bosses, I guess, in Extreme 7. So, very, very interesting. And what does this one do? It makes an environmental effect called Extreme Freeze, and this increases everybody's critical damage by 10%. So, of course, it is going to affect the enemy's critical damage, so that it's a little bit bad in that regard. But it won't really matter too much, to be honest, and you'll most often then not be able to protect against that. So getting more 10% critical damage on everybody on your team is actually very, very powerful. Princess SHEFFY actually gives a lot of support with her skills. And this plus 10% of critical damage on everybody is just like a tiny bit of it. So let's go over her burst now. I have to say, her burst, animation-wise, is probably the best one we have in the game right now. The burst animation looks beautiful. I don't think any other character actually has a better animation for their bursts. There are really good ones. Honestly, even regular SHEFFYs, or, I mean, 6-star SHEFFY's burst animation is also really, really cool. But Jesus Christ. I think this one for Princess SHEFFY is honestly on a league of its own. And it makes me wonder if they'll actually start making, like, really, really high quality animations for bursts for future characters, which would be cool. I'm hoping maybe the ReZero characters that are getting the 6-star upgrade get a really cool animation as well, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But fingers crossing that's the case and that's gonna happen. But in any case, let's actually talk about her burst. So it just deals a lot of damage, so 300,000 twice, and ignores 50 of the physical defense of the enemy. Okay, this skill and all of the other skills do get weaker if her environmental skill or effect isn't activated, but I decided to not include the details on how weak they get. because really this doesn't really happen. She will always be able to use her special skill, so it really doesn't really matter too much. The only real situation where she wouldn't be able to use her special skill is if she gets stunned, which will most often than not will not happen. So you don't really need to worry about that. So moving forward, I won't even be talking about the skills in a situation where the field spell thingy isn't even being activated, because really it doesn't really matter. But in any case, burst deals damage twice, so in a total of 600,000 damage. It's a lot of fucking damage, and of course ignores the 50 defense, which is also very, very nice. Now moving on to her first skill, also deals damage twice, but on top of that will also reduce the enemy's defense by 96, and will also increase the damage taken by critical hits by 8%. So as you can see, even more support for the entire team, reducing the physical defense of the enemy and also increasing the damage taken by critical hits by 8%. It's very, very good, even though the defense reduction isn't really that high, it's just 96%. Also having the 8% critical damage increase honestly just makes up for it. And of course this skill also deals a lot of damage. Honestly, some characters just deal this amount of damage on their burst, and she can just do that amount of damage on her first skill, which she actually uses quite a bit. If you notice on her loop pattern, she actually uses her first skill like every 2 turns basically. And I tried checking how many times she was actually able to stack the debuffs, and most of the time it's just like 2 times at most. So 96 times 2 of course, and 8 times 2, so 16. I'm not going to do the math for the 96 because I can't do math very quickly or very easily. So in any case, so yeah, 2 times if she doesn't have any speed buffs. But if she does have some speed buffs, I just tried it with Monica just to see, she can actually stack it 3 times, but the 3rd time will last, it won't really last that much time. So most of the time she'll have 2 stacks of the first skill, and a little bit of a time 3 stacks of the first skill. So really, the numbers might seem small, but they're actually kinda high, especially for the critical damage. The defense reduction, however, is still like a normal amount. Now moving on to her second skill, here she gives even more support to the entire team. She gives an increase in attack power, critical rate, critical damage, and also increases her own TP by 600 and restores some HP by 6,000 to herself. This is just to herself, by the way. The TP and the HP recovery is just for herself, but the attack buffs and critical rate, critical damage are for everybody in the team. She doesn't really use this skill too often, as you can see from the loop pattern, but she can actually get 100% uptime on these buffs, since they do actually last 18 seconds, but she does need some attack speed to do so. Without attack speed, she can it's like 90% uptime. It's pretty damn close to 100% without any attack speed. So with some attack speed, she'll be completely fine. They will always have these buffs on them. And of course, since she will have so much freaking TP fill rate, this 600 TP recovery will actually turn into 1,000, which is kind of ridiculous. She can just get a full TP on her second skill, like every time she uses it. Granted, it's not really that often that she uses it, so it's kind of balanced in that way, but it's still really, really strong. And also having some self-sustain with the HP recovery is also quite nice. She doesn't really have to depend so much on healers. Of course, she still depends on healers and supporters, but the self-heal is actually still quite nice. Makes her a more consistent unit, and maybe she won't die as much as other units. Granted, her defense stat isn't really like anything too amazing, but it's not really that low, which is pretty nice. It's quite nice. Having 500 physical defense can actually help her survive quite a bit, and the 430 magic defense, it can actually help her barely survive some situations. And surprisingly, her EX skill actually gives her some critical rate by 600, which is very unusual, because usually these EX skills are kind of pointless with just giving some attack, and it's never really that much attack anyway. But in any case, as you can see, she is a very, very strong character. She basically deals a lot of damage, a lot of fucking damage. She gives a lot of support with defense reduction, attack increase, critical rate increase, and critical damage increase. The amount of critical damage she can give is actually huge. On the enemy taking 8% more critical damage, which granted is 16 critical damage because this can stack twice since she uses her first skill so often. She gives 9% more critical damage on her second skill to everybody, and she even gives 10 more critical damage on everybody with her special skill. It's a lot of freaking critical damage for some reason. But surprisingly, even though she can deal so much damage, somehow Summer Suzuna and Christmas Ayane still actually deal more damage than Princess Sheffy over here, which is very surprising. I was not expecting that to happen. I really thought when she was released or announced, she would be like the main or top DPS for water, but it's actually not the case. She's actually a replacement for characters like Winter Chloe and Summer Makoto. Her main role really is to support the entire team while also reducing the defense, or debuffing really, the enemy. Of course, making it so the enemy takes more damage from critical damage and also reducing the physical defense. And all that support on top of dealing even more damage, she just completely outclasses Winter Chloe and Summer Makoto. I'll leave a screenshot on screen just so you guys can see the damage difference on the same team, but just replacing Princess Sheffy with Summer Makoto and sorry, I'm getting the names confused, Jesus Christ. Replacing Princess Sheffy with Winter Chloe and Summer Makoto. There you go. Amazing, Igor. You can do it, of course. In any case, as you can see, Princess Sheffy deals quite a bit more damage than than Summer Makoto and Winter Chloe. And of course, the other characters also deal more damage with Princess Sheffy, since of course she does actually give way more buffs, or better buffs and better debuffs than the other two. Of course, do keep in mind these tests are against the training boss, so it doesn't really represent the actual utility of Sheffy, but it can still give a very good idea of how strong she is. Also, I'd like to mention, she's not really a PvP character, but she can actually kinda still be used in PvP, because since her burst deals so much damage and even ignores some defense, she can actually be good if you want to one-shot like a very strong tank like New Year Ray, or maybe Muimi, or maybe what's her face, Matsuri. So she can actually be used like that way. Of course, PvP isn't really her specialty, because honestly I feel like Kaya 6-star Kaya is just better because she can also deal a buttload of damage and just kill 2 people at once, but the utility is still there. And of course, to no one's surprise, Princess Sheffy is being used in the next clan battle that's gonna happen in just a few days. And funnily enough, the boss where she is being used doesn't even allow Christmas, Ayane, and Summer Suzuna, just because of the mechanics of the boss. The boss just kinda punishes them, especially Ayane, for losing HP, because the boss just reduces max HP and just kills Ayane like incredibly quickly. So funnily enough, you can't actually use the strongest DPSs for water, and in that case, Sheffy will be the strongest DPS you can find, because she does deal a lot of freaking damage, like god damn. Of course, I'll show it on screen, the team I'm talking about and the boss I'm talking about, so you guys can actually have an idea of how good they are and how much damage they can actually deal. And really, that's basically everything for Sheffy. She's a very simple character. She just deals a buttload of damage and gives a lot of support for the team with defense reductions, increase in critical damage, some critical rate, and some attack. And of course, she herself can do a lot of damage, just like I mentioned, like what, a minute ago? I'm just repeating myself. In any case, yes, she is a very strong character. Honestly, a very important character, especially if you don't have Makoto, Summer Makoto, and Winter Chloe, because really, you won't really need them anymore if you do have Sheffy. However, do remember, everybody, we do still have our free polls running right now. So if you are planning on polling for Sheffy, at least wait until the end of the banner, until the banner like is almost over. That way you can maybe get Sheffy with the free polls and you don't have to spend any jewels. I've seen a lot of people just spending jewels kinda unnecessarily instead of just waiting if they can actually get her with the free polls. So don't do that mistake. And of course, we also still have the ReZero collab, and well, believe it or not, I will be skipping Sheffy in favor of the ReZero collab, because remember guys, especially the rerun for the original ReZero collab will most likely not happen again, which makes it so Emilia and Remy won't actually come back. So if you can't get them now, you probably won't be able to get them like ever. You can, I guess, skip the summer version because they will get a rerun, but the regular versions will most likely be the last chance to actually get them. So guys, do keep that in mind. Granted, I've seen a lot of people not actually care about ReZero, which makes me a little bit sad because I really like ReZero, but in any case, you guys do what you want to do. I'm just putting it out there. If you can't get them now, you probably won't be able to get them later. In any case, that's been it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this was helpful for you guys. And of course, as usual, thank you so much to my memberships. You guys are insane. You guys are amazing. And of course, I'll see you guys in the next video.